Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Raw You podcast. Today I'm interviewing Katherine McIntosh, and she is somebody that I crossed paths with on my journey in and around access consciousness. So she really has some delicious insights to us in growing your business from a true space of conscious flow, and really truly creating in the energy and with the energy. Before we started this conversation, we were saying the great thing about these tools is we can pretty much solve anything, which makes us this jack of all trades, which sometimes can confuse people that are just entering our world. So we'll have a conversation to kind of clarify some of these tools, and you'll see why I say that. So Katherine, welcome.
Thank you so much, Janet. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I mean, it seems that, I see you just rocking the world, right? Your hands are in all these things, you're traveling, you have these, cute pictures with your children or your son. And it's just, it's fun watching you live your life. Has it always been that way?
Oh God, no. I was, prior to having my son, who's now just 4, he just turned last week, I was a burnt out hairdresser who did healing work on the side. And I always knew that there was a greater purpose for me. And I'd always dreamed of traveling the world and being on stages and, really empowering people to live lit up. I just didn't know the means. I didn't know the what, I didn't know the how. And when I got pregnant, I sort of dove headfirst into this journey. And I pinched myself. I'm like, wow, I never knew I would get here, even though I knew I would. I just didn't know how.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So what is the journey that you're speaking of?
Yeah. So when I birthed my son, the plan was for me to be a stay-at-home mom. And I was 2 weeks into nursing my son and being at home and hanging out in my pajamas and going on really gentle, leisurely walks and just enjoying the space of this brand new, vibrant being. And my husband at the time was working a full-time job, making 6 figures. The journey was to support us. And my mother was visiting, and he came home and basically had announced that he quit his job. and so here I am, this brand new mom with a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I figured in a year from, being a stay-at-home mom, I would then dive into work and play and really truly discover what it was that was calling me. And it sort of was a big, huge kick in the butt. And so he really he tried to be an entrepreneur and he struggled. And I was a born entrepreneur. So, at 3 months old, I saw that our savings was almost gone. I saw that I looked at his way of going about it, and then I looked at what I could do, and I went, you know what? I think I'd rather trust my way. So I dove headfirst into a business that includes access consciousness, a business that includes speaking and being an author, and really helping people discover their truth, discover their journey.
Right. And I mean, I think that one of the things I notice about you is that you really have discovered your journey, like this constant state of flow. Do you want to offer us a couple of the tools that you use for that constant state?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this before, and it really was, I had to get out of the monkey mind of the judgment, of the projections, of what I thought everyone wanted me to be. And so I really had to ask, okay, what's true for me? What is light? Like the light and heavy tools we were talking about, I constantly had to go, okay, I don't have the money to fly to Florida, but I have an invitation to work on 50 bodies. So I'm a body worker, and more, I'm an energy worker. So it's not, I just changed the molecules of people's bodies. So I had this invitation. I had a brand new baby and I had a husband who didn't have a job. And this a friend of mine, his name's Ricky Williams. He was a pro NFL football player. And he said, will you please come and do your body work? And my whole body went, yes. And then my brain went to my bank account and I went, oh, right. So I said yes before I could even say no. And then I figured it out. And it was this idea that when you trust what's light and you get out of trying to navigate like the how or the what, that your life can truly become this magical journey. And you find, we were talking before, you find your way into where does your message, your heart, your authenticity meet also inspiring other people.
Right. That's so great. It's funny you say that because I literally just wrote a post on that. I went to a nutritional products expo and I was thinking, I wonder what my business coaching clients think about this, and I said, sometimes you just have to do what your body chooses for you. Well, let's talk about how do you bring your body along in your business? Tell me about that in your world.
Yeah, it's so interesting because that's really how I created, I started my business when my son was somewhere between 3 and 5 months. And I looked back 10 months later and I'd built over six figure business. And so my practice was to, one, get out of judgment. Right? Because if I was judging my body, the size of my thighs, what my butt looked like in my skinny jeans, then I didn't have the space to listen to my awareness and to listen to my body. Mm-hmm. So what I would do is stop the judgments, whatever that took, use a lot of tools, but really it was just a choice to stop. Yeah. And I'd say, body, what do you know? Body, what do you want to do? Body, who do you want to meet today? Body, where's the money? And it was really because if you think about it, your relationship with your body is one of the most important relationships you'll ever have because your body's not ditching you. Mm-hmm. You might treat it like crap, but in however many years you've been on the planet, it hasn't gone anywhere, right? And so when we go, oh, I can actually ask my body a question. I can actually include my body in finding money, in finding clients, in finding my purpose, whatever that is. The body actually will give you an energy. And so often we dismiss the energy because we're waiting to hear English or whatever language you speak instead of energy as the information to the journey. Does that make sense?
I know. Well, it makes perfect sense to me. But let's kind of, open the door for them to perceive some of the energies around this. Because for me, I think sometimes people who come to these conversations, they, hear the words, it's going in, but how much of that is just information going across your frontal lobe and it's not dropping into your heart? Mm-hmm. So I'd love to invite them to allow that energy to come down into their body, spiral around your heart, down, 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 down. And as Katherine and I speak in the rest of this conversation, including your business or your brand or what else we talk about with the body, let's go ahead and incorporate our bodies into the conversation. I think we oftentimes forget to do that. Yeah.
99% of the time, we're taught to use our head. And I always say your brain is beautiful. It has information to contribute, but it's not the only element or essence to and of you. So the first thing is literally to say hi to your body, to acknowledge you have a whole 95% more to you
than just your head
below the neck. And so the first thing is to I always sometimes touch my body. If I realize I'm in my head, I'm like, okay, hi. And taking a breath, really getting all the way down. And I always encourage people to breathe all the way down to the bottom of the perineum. So you're really hunkering. For some people, they call it a root chakra, but it's getting anchored, not necessarily grounded, but just oh, you do have a body. And then it's also recognizing, and Access Consciousness talks about this, it's that your being is aware of the entire universe. And so often when we're trying to figure out our business or our relationships or how to make money or our branding, we literally try and squeeze that being that knows everything in the universe into our body. And when you squeeze that being into your body, you actually can't, it's really difficult to hear. So what the second thing I do is invite people, go, like, ask your being to go out to the cosmos as if you were like an eagle flying over and just observing every energy, every information, all the people on the planet, right? And one of the things I ask my body is, body, what are people looking for? Right? And that, it's interesting. I've never actually said this out loud or looked at this, Jenith, but that feels like a brand in and of itself, to be willing to ask what people are looking for. But not from here, I got to figure it out and crunch down, but from space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about, now that we've integrated our body with our being, let's talk a little bit about integrating all this, our infinite being, our body, with the creation of a business, with the creation of life, with the creation of our journey. I sort of like to look at everything from a creative-preneur perspective, not necessarily an entrepreneur perspective. So as a creator, like, what would be the first questions that you'd start to ask to gain clarity from your body, your being, your essence?
Yeah, my two favorite questions that I ask is what does my body desire to be in the world that I'm not letting it be?
Okay. Love
Too
that.
focused on the how, what I need to eat, how I need to eat, when I need to eat, what I need to do for exercise. So what does my body desire to be in the world that I'm not letting it be? Because what that does is it not only allows your body to create itself, but it also then invites your body to create your life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the second question is, what do my creations desire? What is my business desire? What is my branding? Whatever it is that you're looking at that you're not sure of, what is my business desire to be in the world that I'm not letting it be? Because so often, and I know you know this, is like so often creativepreneurs, well, maybe not the creativepreneurs, but the way that entrepreneurship teaches it is you got to focus on one thing. And like you were saying with your expo, like we have an umbrella of a million creative ideas that we could bring into existence.
Oh, yes.
And so,
and some of those are ours.
Yeah.
And a lot of those are ours. And for us to create, and we could. And then a lot of those are just awareness that we're perceiving that are actually for others to do.
Exactly.
And I think that that's one of the first points that I started to get to acknowledge. It's like, I could do this, but do I really desire to choose this? Does my body really desire to choose this? And that's where this integration, this include it all comes in.
Well, and I love, just the energy of your business with the raw, like being raw is so often we're like, okay, let me just find the next thing. And so then it's like chasing, I call it shiny ball syndrome, right? Chasing all the shiny balls, but you forget to include your body in the equation. Because eventually a year of chasing shiny balls, you're exhausted, you're fatigued, you're frustrated, you might feel broke, you might be confused, more confused than when you started. So it's about, okay, what does your body want to be and look like in the world? What energy does it desire to create? And then when you look at your creations, are they in alignment? Are they going to create the future you're asking for? But it's asking the body to give you a visual, right? I mean, when I started my business, I was pregnant with my son, and I'm cutting somebody's hair, right? I was a full-time hairdresser. I'm like 5 months pregnant, got the belly, and, cutting somebody's hair. And my son was so active in delivering me information. And I had studied somatic psychology, so I knew that the body gives us information and energy, not in words. And I was so comfortable with playing in that realm that he would download, quote unquote, download, give me information. And it was like visual, clear pictures. And here I'm cutting somebody's hair, and this picture was, Mom, we're going to travel the world. We're going to change people's lives, and you're going to be on the stages of the world. And I was like, I literally remember looking down going, you're going to have to show me, because at this point I have no idea how that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I think it's so interesting. I love when you bring that into the conversation. That just kind of just tears me up just a bit. I think there's also this willingness and this openness to receive that. Like, because other people could have just totally shut down all the walls around that. It's like, woohoo, yes, you're a dreamer, and no way, it's not possible. That's not my reality. It can't be possible. And I know one of the gifts for me with Access is it sort of made everything that I thought was impossible possible. And, let's go play the game. Let's go play the game of, magic. Let's go play the game of collapsing time. Let's go play the game of, really quantum leaping. And, that magic has shown up over and over again. And, I just love calling in even more of that. What I know, your journey's been absolutely magical. And it seems like you just keep going for it. And going for it. Why don't you tell where does that lead you? I'll not even ask.
Well, I love what you just said, because that idea of all of these pieces, the body is actually such a magical creator, and if you look at, I talk about how 10,000 cells die every second in our body, and 10,000 new cells are being reborn. And that collapses time, that collapses logic, that collapses any information we're sold about how to do things, right? And so the body literally has this internal ability to, like you said, collapse time, to create infinitely, but we have to invite it.
Mm-hmm.
We have to invite it. We have to acknowledge that it's not about your head figuring out. It's about your head including and your body being,
Yes.
so that the information is more accessible.
Yeah.
Because I believe that everybody has the capacity to access it.
Mm-hmm.
We just were taught that it's got to bang us over the head and be so obvious, like a neon sign. And the truth is, in your journey, it's the subtle energies where you go, oh, what was that? Okay, what do I do with that? And those are I just actually did a video on, it's not one big choice that gets you the success, right? It literally is all the little nuances of listening and making small choices every day that lead to big choices, that lead to big, possibilities.
Well, it doesn't have to be all the small choices either. I mean, it sometimes a small choice can be quantum. There was somebody that I wanted to get in touch with, and they just showed up in my world. And there wasn't even it was just a desire I'd like to connect with them. Mm. And I think that it's magic like that I see that changes everything.
Mm. Mm. And when we thank our bodies, you have that moment, you're like, yeah, body, you're awesome. The body goes, thank you. Because when we're thanked and when we're acknowledged, then we want to do more for whoever is acknowledging us.
Right.
And so when we thank and acknowledge that our body played a huge role in creating that, then the body goes, oh, what else can I do for you?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's sort of like that old, it's sort of like that old term, use it or lose it. And I mean, they think like, using your muscles or something like that. But it's sort of like in nutrition in my graduate study, we studied these telomeres. And there's like billions of telomeres in our body. And in that study, there's the telomeres in your cells. They actually, reach out and touch things beyond the body. Like science already knows this, right? And if science knows it, it's sort of like, what else is really possible here, right? I mean, what else is really possible? And I think that acknowledging the body, acknowledging your being, acknowledging the magic, if you use it, and sorry, I'm echoing again. When I get excited, I get loud.
I love it. I'm the same way.
It's like, let me just remind you what you just said.
It doesn't sound as loud as you might think it feels. That's so cute. I was talking.
Echo that and acknowledge you for saying that.
I was talking to my VA yesterday, and we're in mid-launch, as I was telling you, and I literally was shouting at him. And at one point I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I I've lived by myself. I have my son part-time, and I was like, I could hear like the echo of myself, and I'm like, yeah, get excited. And
well, this is exciting work. And when I started my business, even being a nutritionist and doing all this study, and then being a horrible eater for the longest time, and using food to numb out, and then creating the other little disorders that go along with it, and then finally coming back around to the magic of the body, and the magic of the body with creation, and the magic of the body in healing, and the magic of the body during sex, and the magic of what's really possible. I mean, it is like quite profound. And there's this journey of body has been, whoa, what else can be received?
It's my favorite topic. And, I look at like, it doesn't matter for people listening. It doesn't matter what size they are. It doesn't matter what shape. It's if you truly like enjoy every molecule of your body. And we all have our moments. We all have our judgmental, we don't feel good moments, but
let's not put us all in the same boat, because some of us have actually gotten out of judgment around it. We'll have like long weeks of judgment without it.
Yeah. And, but I look at an elephant, and I always joke, like an elephant never complains about the size of its ass. And I was in South Africa at the beginning of this year, and watching like an elephant in the wild is very different than watching it in the zoo. An elephant in the wild stomps on these giant trees and pushes things over, and their movement in their body is phenomenal. Is phenomenal. And what I loved about watching them is no matter what their size is, they still have the agility, the mobility, the speed, and here's the key, the awareness of everything around them.
Right.
Right.
Well,
and so
you know that there's a study done that elephants aren't born with the innate capacity to be able to perceive rain coming from almost 500 miles away, but they have to teach their young to do that. So they have this ability and this capacity to not just perceive it, but also to teach their young that. Like they're entraining them those capacities.
That's and
I cool study. Yeah.
I think elephants are actually aware of up to 8,000 miles around them at all times, but they have to learn.
Probably.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, when the tsunami hit in Indonesia several years ago, the elephants found high ground. They
Yeah.
were safe. And if the humans would have been, what do the elephants know that I don't know?
Yes.
Right? And that's, I say this because our bodies have that same ability. We have the capacity to be aware of at least 8,000 miles around us at all times.
We've got to. I mean,
And
we're
that's
infinite
telomeres,
beings,
right?
I think the question is, we're afraid literally to go out and have that much awareness, because if we did, we think something might happen to us.
Well, if you did, you couldn't be a victim anymore.
Right? Well, there's one.
Because you'd see all the choices available to you, as much as you might see the crap you don't want to necessarily
Right.
acknowledge is there, but it's there anyway.
Yeah.
And
Well, I know you do this clearing work. Why, for those of my people that don't know, and a lot of them do, why don't you do some of those clearings to open up this awareness, just to introduce it? Because it'll be in your newest class, right?
it is, and the new class is so cool because it's like 2 modules of just talking about the psychology of the body, the psychology of information, how our body changes every second of every day. And then it slowly introduces the tools of access and the clearing statement and
Cool.
clearance. But it really is, whatever makes you believe you're not aware, and whatever has you afraid to be curious about what you're aware of. This is where the access consciousness clearing statement comes in, is will you destroy and uncreate? And it's basically destroying and uncreating all the judgments, all the thoughts, all the what ifs, all the fear that we think is real. And so destroying and uncreating everywhere where you're afraid of your awareness. Yeah. And then the access consciousness clearing statement, right, wrong, good, bad, POC pod, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's a big fear of total awareness, which seems like just such a interesting thing to be afraid of, right? I think that there's all these way too many entrainments of this reality, way too many implanted points of view, so to speak, of this reality, and it's time for us to make changes. Well, in mentioning your class, why don't you go ahead and mention it, and then it might be fun for us to kind of open more of this conversation with some energy work and clearings, and really bringing our body along in some of it too.
Yeah. So this program, it's basically my 20 years of my personal journey of, weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, weight gain, trying to figure out, body, what do you want? But I was so obsessed with how and what this reality wanted my body to look like, or what I thought this reality or I wanted my body to look like. And so I went on this 20-year journey to study every energy, every system, everything I could possibly find. And, I never thought that I could love my body. I never thought that I could lose weight with ease. I always thought it was I had to count the peas on my plate sort of thing. And what I discovered through my own journey is, when you get out of judgment, you can begin to listen to your body. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool. I created this program sort of by default, and through my own judging my body has to stop. And really that was the catalyst to building a business, because then I could hear what wanted to be created instead of worrying about what I look like in my jeans. Mm. And so I went on this year-long journey, and at the end of the year, I looked back and I had taken myself from a size 8'10" to a 2'4". And, some days I'm a 4, some days I'm a 6, some days it just depends. But the cool thing is I'm like, all right, body, it's all good. And then I went, I wonder how many other women or men, because men have also done this would contribute to when they started to see what's possible with the body. Right. So no matter what size, what shape, whatever they are. So I created this program called the No Judgment Diet, A Course in Possibilities. Mm-hmm. And it's 90 days and it really walks you through. Yeah, it's super cool because it's to create a new pattern in our body, to create a new thought form that actually becomes a habit, not a force. Right. It's like a 90-day. And so we take 3 days on each tool and each sort of unconscious. So it's designed to unwind all the unconscious programming.
Oh, cool.
Not just about body, but about money, and so it's cool. People like had skin cancer on their faces. It went away. Women who never thought they could lose weight and were suffering from diabetes, lost 60 pounds, got off their insulin medication. Men started having like better relationships. A lot of people built business, like just all these cool things. And because my joke is, yeah, the program's about the body, but really your whole life will begin to change. And almost every person I ask like what the impact was on their life, they all say, my whole life changed. And I'm like, because that's really, it's not about trying to change one area of our lives. It's how do we actually show up,
right,
and really like enjoy the heck out of it.
So, okay, so a couple questions. How is this delivered? Is it like an audio? Is it audio classes? Is it video classes? Is it video trainings?
So it's a couple things. So it's an online video membership, and the modules are released sort of in time. Mm-hmm. So you actually are forced okay, to go through each lesson and spend 3 days on each lesson.
Oh, cool.
Right? So it might be asking the question for 3 days, body, what are you aware of? Mm-hmm. Body, what foods light you up and make you happy? Yeah. Right? Because I was eating all the foods I was told to eat: strawberries, eggplant, tomatoes, greens, kale, raw flaxseed oil. And I was probably 10 or 15 pounds heavier and I was miserable.
Yes. And
then I let go of what I should eat and I started to discover my body doesn't like strawberries. Yeah. It doesn't like tomatoes. It likes ice cream and chicken and, whatever it is. So it really is like spending 3 days going, body, what's nurturing? So it's an online program. It's also 6 live video coaching calls. So you actually get to be on live with groups of people where you receive facilitation, but also for coaches and facilitators, I point out the facilitating moments. So for people who are curious about how to have clients over video or over Skype or on the other side of the world, it actually gives you a window into how to do that. Mm-hmm. And so there's clearing loops that are designed to remove all the unconscious blocks. There's videos. It's a really cool, digestible program that sort of walks you through. There's a live Facebook group where you can ask any question you want. It's a lot, and it's also really easy. The videos are 5 to 10 minutes long. You get downloadable PDFs with a tool, question and clearing. It's really cool. And
cool.
Yeah.
It's funny because, so I guess it was like 2013 that I took my year to do no judgment. And what I noticed was my body was the last one to let go. It was like I could not judge some of the stupid little, natural stupid things that you do, like automatically going off on yelling at a child for doing something because you're having a bad day moment. Like I could I could quickly notice that I did that, and I could not give myself judgment and be like, okay, I just wasn't being me in that moment. Go apologize, right? So I could kind of do no judgment around like everything, but my body was the last thing to go. And it has probably been, and I will still occasionally do some judgment on it. And it is like, when I do it, it's brutal. Or, sometimes it's, the over drinking, right? You just like unleash on yourself the next morning, and at the same time, while I was drinking that night, I'm like, not going to judge this. This is great. We're having fun, and then the next morning I still do. Yeah.
It's funny. It's all about the fun.
But you know what? The less you do it, the more delicious everything gets.
Everything.
Oh, totally.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea,
actually, before we, what just came through was, we talk about judgment a little bit different than the way the restless reality talks about it. So, access consciousness, it's almost like every fixed point of view is judgment. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to kind of bring that into the conversation real quick, because people think it's like, you look awful, like that's judgment, right? Or but it's even concluding that you need to eat less calories to lose weight. That's a judgment. It's and but I want everybody else to know too.
Yeah, I mean, even strawberries are good for you are a judgment.
Well, that's a conclusion, right? It's a conclusion.
It's a judgment, because any conclusion is a judgment, right? And so it really is, wow, it's like when you go on a date with someone and you're meeting them for the first time and you want to and you're totally into them and they're totally into you, and you just want to ask them a million questions. And it's the same thing when we wake up as if we've met our body for the first time. And we're like enamored with the idea of getting to know it. Yeah. And we're like, body, where do you want to play today? How do you want to make money? Then the body goes, oh yeah, this and this, it's like this amazing conversation of possibilities.
Yeah.
Versus the conversation we're taught to have as women in this reality around bodies and food, which is, let me demand at you what I think you need to do. And we all know the relationships that are like that, they don't last very long. And if they last, they're not so fun, right? Right. It's the same thing with the body. It's a relationship that you get to be curious about.
And shouldn't we be curious about everything?
Everything.
One of the things I had a conversation with my, partner in productivity crime, Megan Silito, was, that congruency is kind of like going from the head to the body. When we're not congruent, like we want something and we want it, we want it, and we want it, and then 10 years go by and we still want this thing. And the reason we're not getting it is because we're not congruent. And that's simply us not including the body and noticing the nudges that it's giving us, noticing the awareness that it's speaking to us, not allowing it to even have that. Yeah.
And what you just said, Jenith, it's like those are the places when we get out of judgment, is that it's the unconscious programming we don't even know is there.
Right.
We don't even know it's there.
And we don't know it's there until we play in these conversations and explore the question and explore these classes. And, I think that's what's, it's all a journey, right? A journey in exploration. So many people approach this world as, I have a problem and I need to fix it. And I think if we could really just get on the ride and say, ooh, it feels very fun to do this, I think I'll choose it.
Well, and it's, I have a problem, I need to fix it, tell me what to do.
Oh, totally. Right.
No one,
pill. I think
Yeah.
that one's even the better one. It's like,
Yeah.
I have this, doctor, would you please give me the pill? Oh,
And
the pill didn't work. It's still your fault.
yeah, right. I'm pregnant. I'm screwed. Right. But, and it's like I say, like, no one can tell you, Jenith, what's true about your body. Nobody on the planet can tell you about your body more than, like, you are the one that knows more about your body than anyone else. And if every single body on the planet is different, if every single, like, chemical, DNA, metaphysical, like the wiring of us, every single being is wired, programmed, created differently. And so it literally is discovering what those molecules desire, how they want to play, because it's your journey to discover it.
Right.
But no one said to you, here's the manual to your body, Jenith. This is how you're going to get to living your vibrant life. Is why don't you ask your body a question? Why don't you discover what you're aware of? Everyone's like, here, drink this, eat every 2 hours, get 8 hours of sleep. And it's insanity. And then people walk around thinking there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
And that's what I really am like, there's nothing wrong with you. Dane says it. There's nothing wrong with you. What's wrong with you is that you think something's wrong with you.
Yeah. I think, and I mean, it's sort of like, it's not a world about living right, and it's not a world about wrong. And, because I think for a little while I felt like, well, if I was never wrong, then that would mean I'm right. Which is still lighter, But then I realized that, oh, wait, I just need to know that I know. And it's that simple, like, just know that you know. And that was quite profound when I knew that I could just walk in this world and choose for me. And not have to be right, and never try to prove or fight to be right, never need to be validated for being right or wrong, that everyone else's point of view, it's just a judgment of me. And I mean, that gave me true freedom, and I will grow that and expand that, because this is really fun living this life this way.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So, all right, you guys. So the link will be a big yellow box on this page, a link to Katherine's class. And, if you're late and you missed the beginning, she's giving it all to you in a digital format later, so you can buy at any time. And what else do you have to say, Katherine?
Just so grateful. And, for all those out there, follow your awareness.
Yeah.
Be curious. Just like you're dating someone new that you're totally enamored with, what would it be like to be enamored with you, your awareness, and your body?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Thank you, Jenith. It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye, everyone.